Steve Dotto here. Glad you could join me today. Today, let's take a look at two things that you absolutely have to add to your Gmail account. Why do you have to add them? One, because they will save you time. Two, because they will save you embarrassment. They're both important aspects, wouldn't you say? So, within Gmail, we have a feature. If you go into the settings, we have an area that they call their labs, which you find if you take a look along all of the different settings. And actually, within the Gmail settings now, there's an awful lot of kind of back end settings that are available to us. But this one here is one that people quite often don't bother going into and taking a look at. But it is full of rich resources that can make your life a wee bit better. Now, there are two that I'm going to tell you about today. I'm going to tell you about canned responses, and I'm going to also tell you about one here called Undo Send. Now, what the Labs tools are, these are little extensions that you can build into Gmail to make it work more effectively for you, to add some extra capabilities that aren't built into it natively. And as I say, we're going to look at canned responses, and we're going to take a look at Undo Send. But if you take a look through this menu, you'll find lots of different ideas, and it might kind of get the old synapses firing to determine that there might be some other things that you could do. For example, you can add a Google Calendar gadget. You can add different types of search capabilities. What are some of the other ones that I use? And you can tell which ones I have enabled just because they're clicked enable. You can incorporate Google Voice into Mail. I'm going to try that one soon. That may be in a future demo. Enabling the preview pane so you can have a preview pane much like Outlook would have within Gmail, and I might try that one out as well. I think there's a reason I had to turn that one off, though. Just a minute. I think one of the other extensions that I have turned on will break it. And that's one of the things you always have to be careful of whenever you use any of these labs things. And the reason they are called labs is that they aren't fully tested. Some cases they will break depending on how what other extensions you have installed. But these ones that I'm going to show you today, for the most part, they're pretty solid. I haven't had any issues with them. So what you do is you go into the labs, as we've done here, and then you click Enable on the different tools that you want to have enabled within your version of Gmail. So I've enabled Undo Send, and I've enabled canned responses. And let me show you how they both work. So let's go back into the inbox and take a look at it. Now, the first feature I'm going to show you is Undo Send, and this can save your bacon. It's an unbelievably useful feature to add to Gmail. The key is you have to remember that you have it and not panic when you need it. What am I talking about? Panic in email? Let me show you. We've all done this. I'm going to reply to a little email message here from my buddy Robert. We're trying to put together some sort of a meeting and a time. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I'm going to say, Robert, da-da-da-da, and then I'm going to say more stuff, and then I'm going to say more stuff, and then I'm going to quickly read it, as we always do, but never really think about it, and then go send. Now, you're going to have to watch the process because it's going to happen very fast. I click send, and then I immediately have sender's remorse. Oh, crap, I didn't want to send that. Oh, I can click undo, and I have this buffer period of 5 or 6 or 7 seconds in which the moment you have sender's remorse, it allows you to stop it before it goes. Now, this doesn't allow an email that you've sent once it's actually gotten out into the system to be recalled. This is different than recall. This is what Gmail does is it buffers it, gives it you a few seconds to think about it, and then it sends it. So you have to, in that grace period that you have between clicking send and then going, oh, I spelled that wrong, or realize it quite often, just as that email window closes, you see a typo, or you see a double capital letter, or you see something that, or you suddenly remember, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that. That allows you that grace period to click Undo Send, and what it does is it takes you into the draft folder. See what it's done? Is it's turned that email from an email that's sent into a draft email so that you can go back in, you can make the changes you need, and correct whatever it is that you have to correct. I got to scroll way down. This is a long email thread. You can go down to the very bottom. You can correct whatever it is you have to correct, and then you can then send it. So that gives you that, as I say, that grace period, which is just totally awesome. And that saves you a lot of embarrassment occasionally. It's a good thing. The other feature that I wanted to show you is the canned responses. And canned responses can save you time. Not necessarily save you embarrassment in this particular case, but they can save you a lot of time. Now, I'm here in a response window for an email. And very often we have the same thing that we want to send to people on a repeating basis. It could be our address, it could be the text of a press release, it could be details of, in my case, when I book guests on the radio show, I typically have to give them all the logistical information of the phone number of the studio and the address of the studio and that sort of stuff. So instead of having to type that out each time, a lot of times people will create a document and they will copy and paste that repeating text from that document. And for those of you on a Mac who've watched some of my other videos, you might use a tool like Text Expander, which autofills, which allows us to autofill a lot of different text strings. But for the rest of us, a free option is canned responses in Gmail. And it only works in Gmail, but they work really nicely. So they appear in the bottom of your Compose window. Under More Options, you click Canned Responses, and there it brings up all of the different options that you have. Now, there's two fields that you have to pay attention to, really. The first is Insert, and the second is Save. So you really have to make sure you notice the difference, because sometimes I've noticed as I create canned responses that I've managed to mess up my responses by choosing the wrong field. Let me show you. If I want to just insert the details on, my bio. Let's say that I'm doing a speaking engagement for somebody and they want a quick bio from me. I just click Steve Bio, and there's my bio all ready to go. Look at that. Isn't that great? Really quick and easy for me to send it. I edit it once, I paste it in here, and then I've got it. Now, how you create canned responses is equally easy, but this is where you can run into a little bit of a challenge. If we go into canned responses and we go save, do you see here what says save? If I save it here as, say, radio details or as Steve Bio right now, it will overwrite whatever the file is. So if I've made an edit here and I've changed this and added a bio, for 15 years Steve Dotto was the host and executive producer of, I'm going to say, Canada's most popular. Okay, so there I've made a change to that, a subtle change, but I've changed it. Now when I go into canned responses, I'm going to save it here under Save, and it's asking if I want to overwrite that existing response. So now if I delete it and I go back to canned responses and I choose the Steve Bio, it's got most popular. So you see how I've edited and changed it, and I also create new ones in the exact same way. So once you've written something out once that you might want to use again, just save it here as a canned response, and then you can use it over and over again, and that will save you a lot of time. So that's our double-ended theme today, saving you time using canned responses, a free lab item from Google Labs in Gmail, and saving you massive embarrassment by allowing you to recall an email immediately after you send it when you experience a bout of sender's remorse, also in the Labs area in Gmail. I hope you found this useful today. Drop by our website at dottotech.com, and there you can check out our podcast. We do a podcast each week where we talk about how technology fits in our lives. I'm Steve Dotto. Thanks for spending time with me today.